want to talk to you this morning about lives matter. Lives matter. And yes, every life matters. It isn't unusual that you would only think about your life because you cannot feel the blood in other people's veins. You can only feel them in your own. So self-preservation and survival, fight or flight instincts are indicative and expected for each and every individual. Because in a world of many, you are one. And you are the only one whose thoughts you know, whose pain you physically feel. Your friend can get cut, your wife can get cut, your children can get cut, burned. You don't feel the physical pain. It's not your physical life. You can only feel when you were cut or when you were burned. When you eat and you're hungry and you satiate that hunger and your belly is filled and your thirst is quenched, it is only you who can feel that satisfaction. The other person cannot. So when you look at someone who's hungry and someone who's thirsty and you've eaten and you drank and you're not hungry or thirsty, you cannot feel that physically. You can mentally comprehend and understand it because, like yourself, you are a human like they are. But you cannot feel their hunger. You just simply know what it feels like because you have felt hunger, but you haven't felt theirs. When someone loses a loved one and they're crying on your shoulders and they're an emotional wreck, unless you've experienced that in your own life, in your own family, you will not be able to even comprehend it. Now, you intellectually understand it, but have you lost a child or a wife or a husband, a brother, a sister, a mother, a father, a friend? You know people die, but no one that you know emotionally that you're involved in has died. So really, how much of that can you really understand? Not a lot of it. Academically, yes, but there's no real association. You just understand that people die. But when you've gone through it, you have a personal connection. And even though you don't feel their individual loss because it wasn't your mother that died, your friend that died, you begin to associate that pain with the pain you felt when your loved one died. So you have what they call as empathy. You can relate, even though you are not directly tied to that particular person. And that being said, again, you really can't feel the full breadth of that emotional loss because it wasn't your father, it wasn't your mother, it wasn't your brother, it wasn't your sister. So when you're talking about nations, tribes, people, countries, groups that are not associated with you around the world, do you have empathy? Do you have sympathy? The Torah implicitly reminds us over and over again what true, quote unquote, religion is. Are you okay? Your brother, is he hungry? Do you consider your brother and your sister, your friends, your family? Do you consider people that you're close to and that you love? Any time that you're with a human being, do you consider when you're doing anything, when you're preparing anything, when you're making anything, Let me consider my friend, my father, my mother, my brother, my children. They're coming over. I went to see Guy's grandfather and grandmother who has dementia when I was in Israel. And the first thing, they are not Christians, but the first thing they thought, he's coming over. Let's prepare something for him. I didn't even ask. In fact, I didn't request anything. But the moment I entered, they couldn't help. What can I get you? I got this. I bought this from Greece. I would like to present something to you. It is the culture. But in American culture, it is not that way. People do not immediately think someone is coming over. Let me prepare something. And you have gone into many people's homes and they're eating and they're drinking, knowing that you're coming over. They don't give it the slightest thought in America. In America. That's not that way in Britain. That's not that way in most of Europe or Italy. It's not that way in Africa or the Middle East and the Levant. The Arabs go out of their way. The Armenians go out of their way, but not the Americans. They never consider those things. And it's interesting to watch that culture. And what brings that to mind is an event that happened yesterday. While celebrating a friend's birthday, I was able, at the end of that celebration, and it was a wonderful celebration, but at the end of it, I saw some people standing on the corner holding a flag, down with the Islamic Republic. And I'm used to seeing crazy Americans talk about support Palestine, support Hamas. Now I see, wow, some people. And if you don't know much about Irvine, California is an enclave for the Islamic Republic intelligence agencies to go after the Islamic community. They spy on the people here in America that are against their Islamic Republic in Iran. A lot of the Iranians come here and they're trying to educate Americans and drum up people here for their country, because they talk to Americans who know nothing really about their country or the Middle East or the geopolitical situation. You know, we're kind of arrogant in this country. And they say, what do you mean you're supporting the Palestinians? What do you mean you're supporting Islam? What do you mean Islam is a peaceful religion? I'm Iranian. I'm from the Middle East. I think I know more about Islam than you do. And I can tell you, it is not a peaceful religion. Oh, no, well, and they talk to these crazy, particularly Christian Americans who, no, they're peaceful. Oh, excuse me. And they were saying, what can we do? We have people in our office where we work with, and we try to tell them, and they seem oblivious. Well, they are, I said. Don't waste your breath. They are. You're talking to an American, the least educated about geopolitical events and cultures around the world. They're very much so, mostly uneducated about their own country. They live in bubbles where they live. They're not even aware of their own history. They have a cliff note, peripheral perspective of life. In America, our greatest pastime isn't understanding the world we live in, the state we live in, the politics of life, much less other countries. Are you kidding? It's just go to work, sports, football, my hobbies on the weekend, sex, money, who's playing, what band can I hear? The luxury of not caring about the things you should care about. The scripture did not say our prosperity was the ability to alleviate our concern about the poor, the hurting, your brothers that are in need. Are you okay? Do you need anything? No. Because once I get mine, I can fill my time with me and fun. Where are we going to eat? Restaurants. Our Disneyland pass. That's American. At least the modern day America. The luxury to march down the street because I want to be able to wear a dress and I'm a man. Really? There's people that are dying, children that are hungry, people that are homeless, and the Bible says house them. And that's your concern? Well, of course. Of course. The holidays, what am I going to wear for Halloween? Yes. And I said, you're Iranian. I'm American. You can tell me about the Iranian people. I can tell you about mine. And they were in shock. I said, I know. When I travel around the world, it's like that's the only time you meet a real human that understands human nature, tribes, and the responsibility of the global community. Here is consumption, hyper-capitalism, consumed only about money. Everything centers around money. You have the great blessing of having to deal with something more than money. Troubles and wars, instability within your country. Necessity is the mother of invention. It forces you to care about really what you should be caring about. You don't have the luxury of just worrying about luxuries. You think about, they said to me, we think about family, we think about friends, we come together as a community. I said, because you're still tribal, there's no community here, unless it's a community of people that like to smoke cigars and people that like to go to bars to drink and party, or the pride gay community. That's their community. Or extreme left or right political factions. That's their community. More about waving a flag and a bumper sticker than really sincerely caring about what should be cared about. And it's no different in the secular than it is in the religious communities in America. And they talked with me for an hour and a half, standing in one spot. 3. At one spot, 3 Iranians, a woman and 2 men. And after an hour and a half, they suggested, would you like to come with us? We're going someplace. Invited me to let's continue this conversation. They said, and I said, sure. I was tired. I had some leg problems, but I put their spiritual concern above my physical maladies. And so I went. And then I said, are you hungry? Let's eat something. And they took me to a French restaurant, and the conversation continued to ensue. And when the bill came, they paid for it, all of it. Did not hesitate, wanted to make sure I got this. And then the conversation ensued. Then we went from there to another place and sat in a lounge where the conversation continued. Then when that was over, they walked me out because I was exhausted at that time. And they made plans so that the conversation can continue. People that seek and people that want go far and above to seek and to learn. Now, they're not Christian. They're not. But they asked questions and they sought answers and they listened, and I listened to them. And there was no animosity or hostility, but an opportunity to learn. At the end of the night, One asked me, he says, so if I should convert to you, I says, well, I'm not trying to get you to convert. It's a little different. See, I don't see the Lord as a religion. They said, well, exactly what are you? Are you, what you're not, you don't use the word Christian. I says, no, God doesn't use that word. I am a son of God. That's the word he would use. And their mouths just dropped open, and like their eyes just opened. I said, the Lord came to make us sons and daughters of God, not of people's religious factions and boxes. And it's just amazing when you're with people that want to learn. Now, they're very smart, as most Iranians are, if you know them, not like Americans. They don't talk frivolously. They all have good vocabulary. They speak well. They're highly educated, the Iranians. They're high achievers. They're rational. And none of you who travel, if you do not travel, if you don't have those relationships with international people in your life while you're here, because there's plenty of them in America for you to learn that when you don't have to travel. I was having those relationships with Iranians and foreigners before I ever left the country, because we have plenty of them in our country to engage and learn and listen to and find a difference. And I encourage them, as I encouraged 3 teenage boys earlier while I was celebrating my friend's birthday, who themselves gave an hour of their time in a parking lot, standing up talking. One of them, their mother showed up, and she was smiling and listening and encouraged and was thanking me for sharing these words as I talked to her son and the other 2 teenagers. Because people are hungry, but they don't really know what they're hungry for until someone comes in their life and they don't realize. So one said to me tonight, but I don't need God. I said, not yet. And I said, oh, not yet. But the time will come when you will. I said, it's like insurance. You buy it before you need it. You have to be proactive with your faith, because the time will come when you will. So why not just sign up on that policy now and trust in the Lord? And don't worry, I know you don't know a lot, but you will. Because you know enough to know that there is something you cannot explain and something that can be of benefit to you, like an insurance policy. And over time, given time, you'll even know more, even before you need it. It's like a relationship. I know enough about you to know I want to spend the rest of my life getting to know you. And it's going to take the rest of your life to get to know someone you marry. How much more so to know the creator of the universe? It's not going to be one service, one religious festival. No. I know enough about you, God, that I want to spend the rest of my life getting to know whatever else I can possibly know about you. That is true love. It's a constant revelation of getting to know as he takes his time to reveal to you. And the woman that sat at the table, I said to her, isn't it true? You don't like to tell things about yourself unless you know someone really loves you. You don't really care to reveal things unless you know someone really cares about you. I said, God's the same way. Why should I talk to you? Why should I reveal anything to you? You're not really interested in me. You're just interested in what you can get out of me. But do you ask questions? Do you really care to seek me? Do you really want to know me? Well, 3 teenage boys dead and 3 Iranians. Ask yourself, are you one of them?